This is Jake Lang.
Will be burning Qurans, standing up against the Somali invasion of Minneapolis, the immediate deportation.
Once again, Twitter is not real life. This dip gets 7,000 likes on Twitter, but in the real world, he got 7 people to attend this Quran burning protest. Okay, and as a counter to this dip pro-Nazi protest, guess what happened? Thousands of people came out and told him, shut the fuck up. So I need you to understand that these guys do not have motion. They do not have motion. And that's precisely the reason why the government has to step in. Okay. The government has motion. It's the goddamn government, but these guys don't. The government has to fund ICE by $75 billion. Shouts out to the Democrats that are also paying for it. Very cool, or already paid for it. But the people don't like it. They don't like it at all. Twitter likes are nothing. Okay. They're botted into oblivion. They're boosted into oblivion. All of this stuff that you see on the internet from the sweatiest losers that make you go, who could possibly agree with this worldview? When you see something online and it makes you go, huh, do these guys actually believe this? Like, they're saying some heinous shit. Just remember, most likely the average person is repulsed by that sort of behavior, okay? You have to remember that. It's that simple. But the real problem is the government. The real battle here is the actual government. That's what's so frustrating about this process. It's not like they don't have the popular mandate. They try to make it seem like they have a popular mandate by flooding the media with pro-regime propaganda, and they're flooding independent media with pro-regime propaganda. Asmongold is a great example of this. Yes, Jake Lang, this is what happened when Jake Lang actually went and tried to do a pro-Nazi rally. As a Nazi, as an out and about Nazi, he tried to do a pro-Nazi rally. Well, this is how Minneapolis welcomed him. Just in, anti-Islam protest organizer Jake Lang just got dragged into a crowd and assaulted multiple times. Police are doing absolutely nothing. It's total anarchy. Minneapolis police are standing down because corrupt Democrats refuse to protect conservatives. The feds are needed. Also, they're saying like he got his ass beat, he got assaulted, but like, think about it this much. Jake Lang is out there to agitate. He's out there to protest. And the fact that he was in such a ginormous crowd and he survived, yeah, he got shoved a little bit. Maybe he fell. Maybe he tripped and fell. But the fact that he survived this situation implies that, you know, maybe they are actually a fairly peaceful crowd, okay? I'm just saying. You go into someone else's backyard and you try to specifically, aggressively posture, try to make them feel not welcome in their own home. People are going to want to clean that up. You're going to be a piece of shit. You're going to get picked up. He came out to Somaliapolis, baby. Murderapolis. Hey, fam, you did not check in with Abdul at Murderapolis. This is what happens, bro. This is what happens when you refuse to twerk in Murderapolis. This land was promised to them 3,000 years ago, buddy. Buddy, this land was promised to the Somalis 3,000 years ago. Get the f out of here. It's their ancestral home. It is pretty crazy, though, that like only 7 people showed up and this dickhead has the audacity, nay, the caucasity to assume that he can still go through with this. You know what I mean? What is this? Same right wing tweeted this. Breaking: Jake Lang's head is bleeding after violent leftists ambushed him during the anti-Islam Minneapolis protest. Blood is literally dripping down his head. F.U. Nazi. Police are doing nothing. They're nowhere to be seen. Democrat leadership purposely let this happen. They're now marching down the sidewalk. I just don't. POTUS, send in the military. Dude, it's so funny. They're like, you have to send in the troops. You have to send in the troops. If a neo-Nazi agitator goes out there to f up, you literally have to militarize the troops and you have to go and kill them. Okay, you have to go and kill all of the local people. Like, what are we doing here? You can't just be like, hey, I don't want you in my neighborhood. You're a goddamn Nazi. Like, we can't do that anymore. I thought this was America, damn it. Jake Lang left bloodied and beaten as he's escorted through the mob. I'm not a fan of this guy's act, but I see no reason to not forcibly remove all these people from society. They're hardly human savages. Wait, what? Oh, Oh, he's saying like all of these other people that were escorting him need to be forcibly removed from society. Got it. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, no, definitely. He's like, yeah, I don't really like this Nazi, but I totally agree with him that we should violently kill every single person that doesn't like Nazis in their neighborhood, you know? Okay, so what's the difference between you and him then? He's still tweeting from his safe space. There it is. I just got stabbed by a crazy white commie leftist rider today in Minnesota, all for pointing out the replacement of 70 IG. Burqa wearing pirate Somalians, plate carrier blocked it. Jesus is... Oh, so you didn't get stabbed. Oh, so you're claiming you got stabbed, but thank God for my plate carrier, bro. It blocked it. Deus Vault. Yeah, just common sense. I mean, this guy, he just needs to tell people what his opinion is. He just wants people to know his opinion, which is that, you know, the Somalis are 70 IQ and wear burqas and are pirates. 70 IG, actually. Based. Yeah, real victim. Yeah. So as you know, I'm shaking my head. Poor taste, you know, poor taste. Jake Lang was doing Nazism the right way. I didn't think this guy had a point, but when he told me that the Somali lady has 70 Instagram accounts, I realized that's not very base of them, and I think I'm a Nazi now. Yeah, he was very convincing. Let's revitalize that age-old argument. When is it okay to punch a Nazi? When is it okay to punch a Nazi? Why can't he just do free speech? Why can't he just do politics the right way? Why can't he just do politics the right way? Here's why. If you don't actually show up in force, right, and show up in large numbers when Nazis protest and demonstrate, it creates a false sense of security for these Nazis, right? You have to oppose them. You have to tell them to off. You have to tell them to get the fuck out of your neighborhood. It is your God-given right as an American citizen to do this, okay? And it is actually one of the proudest moments in American history when we did this, okay? When our parents did this. Not mine, obviously. They came to the United States of America after the fact, but still, you know, many of you have grandparents that fought in World War II, right? So, like, this idea that, you know, you just got to let Nazis roam the streets and say, like, you know, whatever the they want to about your Somali neighbors or about liberals or about leftists or whatever the fuck is silly. It's stupid. You leave them unchecked. They think they have numbers, and then they go out and they grow and they organize and they grow their movement even further. And then once it gets to a certain point, they get to join the federal government and become ICE agents, right? So you can't let that happen. You can't let that happen. You always have to oppose them. You have to oppose them. It's the best possible thing you can do. The best possible thing you can do is tell Nazis to fuck off. Don't you think it's a bit offensive calling these people Nazi? Wait, do you even know what Nazism is? I don't know if you know what Nazism is. And I also personally don't understand why you're still defending this guy who is objectively a neo-Nazi, for the record. Like, the guy that we're talking about here is straightforwardly a neo-Nazi. I don't know why you are refusing to comprehend that. What would cause you to understand that this guy's a neo-Nazi? Like, what can I show you? What can I show of anyone, really? Does this help explain the Nazi accusation? Oh, this is what I was talking about. So this is after he got outed as being Jewish. Here's the thing with Jake Lang. So he was doing all this, like, you know, white supremacist protesting and things like that, right? Outed as being Jewish sounds crazy. Yeah, because they're Nazis, man. Of course, that's like the only time it's appropriate to say outed as being Jewish, when someone is straight up a neo-Nazi and is like presenting himself as like being a Christian, Christ lover, Christ cuck, whatever. And then people look into your background and they're like, wait a minute, like, you have photos wearing the tefillin. Like, what the do you mean you're a Christ cuck? Like, how did this happen? There's literally a picture of him at the Wailing Wall, dude. What are you talking about? That juxtaposition is so severe that, like, yeah, you gotta bring it up. It's like when people talk about, like, Lindsey Graham being gay. He's like viciously homophobic, but, like, you know, he's also definitely gay. Yeah, Jake Lang's campaign of terror. Minneapolis, Minnesota protesters raged. Shouts out the Unicorn Riot, still doing the Lord's deed here. Protesters raged at DHS, lining the South Driveway. This is Jake Lang, right? He's appearing at the Whipple Federal Building in Minneapolis on January 9, 2026. But his background, here's a picture of Jake Lang kissing the Western Wall in Jerusalem, Israel. The paper in his hand is a bar mitzvah certificate from the Western Wall Heritage Foundation. This is him. Last year, an image of Lang wearing a yarmulke and kissing the Western Wall in Jerusalem, wearing the tefillin too. emerged on X, which has led to an outcry on the right that Lang is subverting their movement in bad faith. In an interview with Shirley, published on December 18th, Lang confirmed that his mother is an Ashkenazi Jew, but adds that he was raised Irish Catholic. He also adds that while he has Jewish blood, he has never practiced Judaism. Bitch, what do you mean you never practiced Judaism? I'm gonna be honest. I think he's an agent. Like, I think this is like, you know how Tommy Robinson in the UK is a Mossad agent? I think this mother is a Mossad agent. Okay? Straight up. These guys absolutely 100p really get in to these sorts of movements and try to subvert it or try to like really move it in a different direction. Yeah, Tommy Robinson is a UAE agent as well, but that's basically another way to say Israel, okay? Come on. We're talking about the United Arab Emirates. They're literally Israel but Muslim, okay? They're two peas in a pod, okay? The United Arab Emirates was funding anti-Islam campaigns in Europe, man. They are the most Israel-coded country on the planet outside of Israel. In any case, when this came out, when this guy was like, "Oh, I'm a Nazi, I'm a Christian fascist, Christian nationalist, whatever," and then all of a sudden, here's some of his background, right? His spree of media magnet hate rallies come in light of his candidacy for the U.S. Senate seat in Florida that was opened by a departure of the current Secretary of State Marco Rubio. This is Jake Lang. Lang first began to gain attention with his anti-Islam rally in November 18th in Dearborn, Michigan, alongside truck driver and gubernatorial candidate Anthony Hudson. Lang appeared on the scene in an RV with Hudson's face plastered on the side alongside right-wing provocateurs. In far-right influencer Nick Shirley's video of events, right-wing media personality Cam Higbee is another PragerU Mossad agent, for the record. Cam Higbee is another one of those guys who went to like Israel, went to Gaza, and was like, there is no famine here, okay? Cam Higbee used the vehicle as shelter on at least one occasion. Hudson said on scene that he was not affiliated with Lang and did not give them permission to use his image on the RV. Lang attempted to incite a crowd of mostly Muslim community members protecting their neighborhood into violence by first attempting to burn a Quran and then slapping a Quran with bacon. Nearly a month later, the bacon stuff is so funny. Anyway, nearly a month later, on December 13th, Lang held a rally in Plano, Texas against the construction of a new mosque in the community. The basis for the rally was a widely shared post on X, beginning with a post from End Wokeness on November 16th, stating that 48 mosques had been built in the Dallas area within the previous 2 years. The evidence for the claim was a video of somebody zooming into Google Maps on their phone with a location of mosques highlighted from the search with Plano, not how you say Plano. At the start of 2026, Lang appeared in Washington, D.C. to hold a rally against the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, one that was sparsely attended except for the presence of media. Among his entourage were two who would appear alongside him less than a week later in Minneapolis. So basically what ended up happening is they called him out. This story doesn't mention that once they found out that he was doing all these like anti-Islam rallies, but he was Jewish himself, even though he was presenting himself as like a Christian nationalist, a Christian fascist, and this photo came out, he then did the AIPAC rally, okay, the Anti-AIPAC rally. And he like chucked a bunch of pennies at like, what he was claiming were Jews or whatever. And I think the reason why he did that is because he wanted to basically show like he's a bona fide neo-Nazi, which he is, right? I mean, you can be Jewish and also be a neo-Nazi. Stephen Miller exists, right? Like, I mean, there's plenty of examples, especially, Jewish Nazis, the damn near entirety of the Israeli Knesset, with the exception of like two guys, So, and one of them is Arab anyway, like, and not Jewish. So there are plenty of Jewish neo-Nazis. They're in Israel for the most part. And I think Jake Lang is a guy that is working at the behest of Israel as an asset.
Their Jewish money and our politicians. They have held us into their forever wars. And we are saying, as American Christians, it's America first, it's America only.
I'm sorry. Come on, dog. Really? What in tarnation? What the heliante? I've seen more believable Batman cosplay. Yeah, it's like, sure, bud. Sure. You love Christ. You hate Israel for sure. You really hate Israel. Brother, you can't be tongue kissing the wall and then turn around and be like, oh yeah, I hate Israel and the Jews. Like, you're wearing tefillin, man. What the Like, that's crazy. Like, how do you go from doing this with a bar mitzvah certificate from the Western Wall Heritage Foundation to this in a matter of years?
We will not. There you go. Joe Biden. Beijing.
Also, it's a really oh, that's the other Nazi. That one right here. God, they're such goobers, dude. He's doing Jewish tekiah. Yeah, he's doing tekiah. But you can be Jewish and against the Israeli penetration of America. I'm not saying that's what he's doing. Yeah, he's not doing that because I think he's doing Israeli penetration in America. He's not an anti-Zionist, guys. And perhaps the reason why he's not an anti-Zionist is, and you can tell, because I'm noticing that there is one person that's absent from this protest here, and that's Donald Trump. This isn't 2026. Or not 2025. This protest was conducted in 2025. What the f do you mean? Joe Biden, you're throwing pennies at Joe Biden. Look at the left side guy. I know. Awesome.
Beijing, CCP, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Mariel Adamson, these people. That was right off the noggin. We know our country can only stand if we unite around America first and America only. We will have no choice but to declare our country a white Christian country. We will have no choice but to push back against the never-ending immigrant takeover that has been brought about by those who have paid off our politicians. They have flooded Europe. They have flooded America with all different types of brown people and Middle Eastern Muslims.
For the record, wait, is this guy Jewish? I mean, that's him. What do you think is happening here? I'm telling you right now, he is 100% the same type of agitator that Tommy Robinson is. Tommy Robinson isn't Jewish, of course, but he is a paid agent of Israel. His entire job is to go into like these Nazi spaces and, talk about how he is Mr. Christ cuck, how he loves Christ, and he wants to do Christo-fascism, but then try to move all of their attention and move all of that enmity in the direction of Muslims in the United States of America. You don't have to be Jewish because of the wall. Maybe he's an American politician. Chatter, he's wearing tefillin with a bar mitzvah certificate from the Western Wall Heritage Foundation. I know you're making a joke. I know. Like this is maximum, okay? This is it. Like this is yeah, he was Jewish maxing right here. This isn't like, oh, I've went to bar mitzvahs. I did, I lit up a menorah and stuff. Like this is the most like this. I don't know how else to explain it. Like this is like, he's more Jewish than Tony DeCoppel is. Okay. Not only matrilineally, but also just straightforward. Like he's just Jewish, right? And I think the reason why he's doing this here to be like, oh, I hate AIPAC isn't, yeah, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, they love AIPAC. I hate AIPAC. I love that AIPAC has become like the fake anti-Israel people's like number one target, by the way. Because like Democrats like Gavin Newsom will be like, I'll never take a single dollar from AIPAC. And he's kind of doing that here as well, where he's like, yeah, I hate AIPAC. These guys, the Jewish politicians, they took over our country. Not Trump, though. Just Joe Biden, Just Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. I think he did this specifically because people were bringing up that photo to protest to be like, you're not a Christian nationalist. Shut the f up. Last year, an image of Lang wearing a yarmulke kissing the Western Wall in Jerusalem emerged on X, which has led to an outcry on the right that Lang is subverting their movement in bad faith. In an interview with Shirley published on December 18th, 2025, Lang confirmed that his mother is an Ashkenazi Jew, but adds that he was raised Irish Catholic. He also adds that he has Jewish blood. He has never practiced Judaism. While he contends that the picture of him at the Western Wall was simply a rite of passage for tourists in Israel, he's pictured holding a bar mitzvah certificate from the Western Wall Heritage Foundation addressed to him, his name spelled in Hebrew characters. Additionally, his mother's Instagram also includes another angle of the event with the caption, bar mitzvah / bat mitzvah at the wall in Israel. The photo was taken on May 17th, 2016, when Lang was 21 years old. His mother's Instagram also is laden with numerous posts celebrating Hanukkah, suggesting she is at least partially an observant Jew. In a counter-protest to Lang in Plano, Texas, protesters unfurled a banner with the enlarged version of the photo with the text, "There are no Muslims on the Epstein list."
Street gang center, that's what that is.
Stop. Also, that's not even true, for the record. That statement is objectively untrue. There are a lot of motherfuckers from Dubai on the Epstein list. As a matter of fact, one of Jeffrey Epstein's besties is a very high-ranking guy from the United Arab Emirates. So the notion that there are no Muslims on the Epstein list is completely untrue. Mohammed bin Salman is all over that shit. Plenty of Muslims are all over that shit. These guys just don't know any better. Just wanted to point that out. I don't think there's any Somalis on the Epstein list, but there might be. Who knows? You know, that's just, there's definitely Muslims on the Epstein list. But yeah, I don't know what this situation was. Wait.
Jake Lang, is this you? Is this you, or am I mixing people up? Is this Jake, or am I mixing people up?
Like, I can't tell if this is like Nazi infighting or if these guys are actually calling him out. Like, Unicorn Riot is obviously an anti-fascist movement, so I know that for a fact. I don't know what this guy's background is. Like, this could very well be Nazi infighting. It could very well be a bunch of dudes that are just like taking advantage of the Nazi infighting to just really bring the contradictions to the forefront here. You know, they're pulling a diss you.
I want to make sure. We care about journalistic integrity.
So then they say, stop pretending to be Christian, Jake. One of the protesters called out to him. Lang, clearly flustered, continued walking past the protesters. The controversy was further kicked up when Lang announced he was suing several right-wing podcasters who discussed the idea that Lang was Jewish and simply pretending to be Christian to attract bad attention. I have never worked with or aided law enforcement, the Israeli government, Mossad, FBI, or any other official agency, private NGO for any of my events, protests, or on January 6th, Lang wrote in an X post. On Lang's arrest in January 2021, his father, Ned Lang, told a local New York newspaper that Lang had the substance abuse issues and had been in and out of trouble with law enforcement for more than a decade prior to being charged with 11 felonies for his actions in the deadly riot in D.C. on January 6, 2021. A still from footage of January 6 showing Jake Lang in a gas mask swinging a baseball bat at Capitol Police. The offense pictured would ultimately result in Lang being charged as a violent offender. In my opinion, this is yet another example of like how diverse, how the DEI rate has hit the neo-Nazi movement, especially in the United States of America. Just as there are 6% of Muslims in Berlin that vote for AfD. I don't know how they poll those things, but from what I understand, like there's some AfD supporters that happen to be Muslim. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how you do things like that. But I mean, the top neo-Nazi in the United States of America right now is a gay Mexican guy, right? Another prominent far-right fascist who I think is going through an identity crisis right now is Sneeko, and he's Haitian and Filipino, right? Another one is Myron Gaines. I forget where he's from, right? But former Fed Myron Gaines, and he's another Holocaust denying neo-Nazi as well. So, you know, it's only a matter of time until you got Jewish neo-Nazi as well, a Jewish anti-Semitic neo-Nazi as well, right? It's a big tent, guys. It's a big ass tent nowadays. In the immediate aftermath of January 6th, Lang used his newfound fame to start a militia using a Telegram channel that grew from 12 to 200 members in the span of a week, according to ProPublica. The plan was ultimately put to bed on January 16th, 2021, when Lang was arrested in his New York home. So then he came back, you know, he worked at it tirelessly to rebuild his movement. Other J6 defendants have not been trustful of Lang. Tim Hale, a defendant who was not charged with violent crimes, claimed in an X post shortly after the Dearborn event that Lang never voted for Trump and that he pretends to be a white Christian to incite racial and religious conflict with blacks and Muslims. He's a rat and a fraud, Hale wrote. He is not MAGA, not America first, and he will land you on a watch list. The next stop on Lang's campaign of terror across the United States is Minneapolis, which has been the target of the federal government since Shirley posted his video alleging fraud in Somali-run daycare centers in the city. The video proved none of its allegations, instead showing Shirley driving around the city harassing a Somali residents. Lang's rally will begin in downtown Minneapolis at City Hall, starting with a rally followed by a march to the Cedar Riverside neighborhood, home to a large population of Somalis. Well, that was cut short because only 5 people attended, as I showed you earlier. Yeah, this is how it ended. I guess you could say this crowd was being quite anti-Semitic to our Jewish agitator who LARPs as a Christian nationalist. Hold up. Don't let Donald Trump catch wind of this, okay? Don't let any of our Democratic politicians catch wind of this. They're going to start their condemnations instantly. They're going to be like, wow, an incredible anti-Semitic incident took place in Minneapolis, at the heart of downtown Minneapolis. We must put an end to hate. Stop. Time out on the hate, please. This is really messed up. Are they even going to defend this guy, you think? I don't know. I can't actually give you a prediction on this because things are so f***ing dumb nowadays that it's like kind of difficult to figure out where this administration will move. Because like the Nick Shirley video, I was right in my prediction on the Nick Shirley video where I said like, one, this is the dumbest video I've ever watched. There's no evidence in this whatsoever. And a lot of people are seemingly getting whipped into a frenzy by it. And this will lead to like people dying. This will lead to like ICE being sent out there. This will lead to people doing this like repeat harassment of like random Somali people. It did actually turn into a major problem. And obviously Jonathan Ross assassinated Renee Good and broad daylight as an ICE agent, and now there's all these protests taking place. I don't know if they'll keep pushing in Minneapolis or instead move to like a different town, a different city, maybe a different state altogether, and try to do the same exact thing there as well, because they're getting far too much pushback here, and it's becoming very difficult to maintain this lawless act of suppression. Show us what happens to this Mossad agent. Yeah, he got punched and stuff. So even if he's not like directly, you know, Unit 8200 or whatever the right? And he probably isn't, let's be real. He is in line with Israel's goals, because Israel's goals in the United States of America and the broader Western world now is not to really heighten the support for Israel, because they know that you can't just like openly say you love Israel and, demand more funds. What you have to do is shift people's attention away from Israel to Muslims. And that's precisely what's going on. So Tommy Robinson plays that role as well in the UK, where he just constantly is talking, instead of like defending Israel openly, he'll just spend most of his time talking about how, like, you know, Islamic Sharia is destroying the country, right? So that's what they're doing. That's what Jake Lang is doing as well. So whether they are directly being paid by the Israeli state or not doesn't change the reality that they are actually operating at the behest of Israel and directly in line with Israel's goals. And the reason why I showed you the whole AIPAC chucking chocolate gold coins at this Deus Vault, make Jerusalem Christian again, all this stuff, register AIPAC as a foreign lobbyist, like this fake ass protest that he put together, I think was to just say he is actually anti-Semitic, to like really bring up his bona fides as a Jew hater, right, in the Nazi movement. Because this came after he was outed as actually being Jewish. People didn't know he was Jewish for the longest time. And then when they found out that he was Jewish and they found out that he has a photo, getting a bar mitzvah certification at the Western Wall, all of a sudden he had to be like, no, you guys don't understand. Like, yeah, sure, I have like a matrilineal Jewish heritage, but I hate the Jews as well. There's two options here, right? Either over the course of this was in 2016, from 2016 until 2026, over the course of the past decade, he grew to be straight up an anti-Semitic version of neo-Nazism. He is simply trying to present himself as such so that Nazis will accept him, but they will never accept him. Once this photo is out, it's over. You know what I mean? But he is one of my favorite little neo-Nazis for this reason, because he is trying to present himself as a Christ lover, Christ cuck, and doing like smaller and smaller versions of protest, because even the right-wing heads that normally would align themselves with him think he's an agent. Part of it is because of January 6th, and the other part is because of, the fact that he is Jewish.